This is Craig, and this is Just Genealogy. And today we're going to finish up that section of Genealogy Standards that deal with standards for researching with the standard number 18, which is the final standard in standards for researching. And next time we'll start talking about collecting data. So standard 18, before I go further, remember that I do not represent the Board for Certification of Genealogists. What we're dealing with here is my opinion, and it's worth a grain of salt. So standard 18, terminating the plan. In ideal situations, genealogists continue searching until they have sufficient evidence for a defensible answer to their plan's underlying research question. If necessary, however, they may terminate a plan before acquiring sufficient evidence. For example, they may have expended time, financial, or other resources available to implement the plan or to know no further resources. For example, they may have expended time, financial, and other resources available to implement the plan or know of no further resources to consult. Genealogists understand that terminating a plan that has yielded insufficient evidence for a defensible answer will not lead to genealogical proof. See glossary for definitions of evidence, proof, research question, and source. A lot of this has to do with the circumstance in which you're dealing with. I do research plans for my own personal research. Now, are they suitable for submission to the Board for Certification of Genealogists for a renewal or an application? Absolutely not. Are they suitable for my research process? Absolutely are. Do I terminate them? I don't know about you, but I can remember client situations 20 years ago where in my head, I'm still looking for the answer because I couldn't find it. I am reminded of one situation that I've been looking for nearly 25 years of Black Hawk War fort government records relating to Black Hawk, a specific Black Hawk fort during the Black Hawk War. And another one is a fort in Florida during the Seminole War, and remembering to look for records dealing with that. All part of research plans that I have somewhere in my computer, but actually exist in my head. So terminating a research plan usually for me only occurs when the research question has been adequately answered and there has been sufficient proof to determine that either what I was looking for was correct or it was incorrect, and it can be put to bed. And then I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I don't tend to terminate things if I don't have an answer. You can't be a know-it-all and not have the answer. I mean, that's just the world I live in. Recognize that one of the greatest impediments to finishing research is time, if it's your own research, and money if it's someone else's research. Because one of the problems that genealogists have and have always had, and one of the most difficult things to deal with, is that we don't let loose of research questions that haven't been answered. So someone pays you for 10 hours of research, and the 10 hours of research doesn't pan out the way you would have liked it to. It doesn't demonstrate what you think could be done. More time is necessary, but no more time is available. So you have to terminate the research plan. But do you really? No, because it eats at you that you didn't find the answer. And that's not the same thing as finding out that the answer that the client wanted is not the answer that you provided them with. That's not the same thing. I'm talking about you couldn't find the answer in the time that was available. That's very frustrating. And that's one of the problems that you'll find as a professional genealogist, is that often clients will not give you enough time to get the job done. Now, the bigger problem than that is that you will continue to expend your very valuable resource time to solve the problem, and you're not being compensated for it. Those are called non-billable hours. And the problem is that your non-billable hours, I mean, you're always going to have non-billable hours, but you should be in control of what your non-billable hours are. And if you're expending your very valuable resource time for a client to solve an issue that you just know that you can solve if you'll just spend 2 more hours on it, and you don't charge the client for those 2 more hours, that's on you. It's part of the reason why I don't take clients. Or I do take clients, but very rarely. So recognize that time is an issue, always, for genealogists. Finances are research, always, for genealogists. And many times we as genealogists set ourselves up because the resources aren't available to us, yet we think that we can still deal with the problem. For example, I am often asked to do research in the National Archives. I live in North Carolina. I can't get to the archives, but maybe once or twice a year if I'm lucky. And there's a pandemic going on, just not as bad as it was. So recognize that you may have to be an adult and recognize that you are unable to consult the resource that you want to, and it's probably appropriate for you to pass that research either on to someone else who can, or to hire somebody to do that research for you, which means the client has less money available for you personally because you're having to give some of what would have normally been your money to somebody else. Genealogists understand that terminating a plan that has yielded insufficient evidence for a defensible answer will not lead to genealogical proof. That's a very important statement. And the reason I reread that is because it is a very important statement. And that statement is, don't create a genealogical proof that is not a genealogical proof. And we're in the habit sometimes of thinking that we have the answer when in fact we haven't done a reasonably exhaustive search, that we've jumped at the first answer. And later we'll find that that was a derivative source, that was an incorrect source, that source conflicts with other information that exists out there that you didn't see. All kinds of things. So make sure that when you actually create a proof and you stand by your proof, that it's in fact a proof. Because there are a lot of things out there that look like proofs, but really aren't. So this is Craig. This has been Just Genealogy. We finished up the researching portion of Genealogy Standards. Next time we get together, we'll start talking about collecting data. I'm really looking forward to that because that's one of my favorite things to do. Except planning is actually one of my favorite things to do also. It's just I plan quickly. My grandmother used to say to me when I was a kid and doing genealogy, and I really wasn't a kid. I was an adult and in the Navy. But when I would go and visit her, she would say, you know, you would be all right if you just spend a little bit less time in the future. I was a strategic planner. That's why I like research plans. And spend a little bit less time in the past. And of course, I love the past because I'm a genealogist. And spend a little bit more time right here in the present. You'd be a much better person. I thought I was a pretty good person anyway. Anyway, that said, this is Craig. This has been Just Genealogy. Please subscribe. Please click that notification bell. If you think I provide value to you, tell your friends. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.